mini cut time, guys. No! I thought you were excited about this.
No, I am. I just did the math just before and I'm going to die.
Only women get excited about dieting. Oh yeah, let me get on that diet.
No, I was really excited. And then, as I said, until I did the math, I was like, this week's going to be really fun.
So tell us about your math.
Okay, do you want to do the math first?
Well, I guess we kind of talked about that you actually didn't even weigh in this week because you're just
so this week
angry.
I was just for 3 days we were not at the house, so I didn't have scales. But I think once I get to around the 66 kilogram mark, like I have fear of the scales. It is a real thing.
Yeah, and the only reason I agreed to this mini cut is because I actually know that if you lose some, it will help you with adherence, which makes no sense.
I know,
because
so
your mind is actually like construction, and I feel like when they programmed you, there was like a couple of wires loose. So when you get
a couple of wires,
yeah, well,
I think a lot of the wires.
Let's be real, honey. It's not just this one. Hey, I got a few too. But where like if you start to get heavier, you actually get less adherent to your diet because you just don't care anymore.
No, I think it's like the sadness like slowly seeps in, and then it's like, oh, I need to feel good. Oh, where's the pie? Cake some pie.
Hashtag first world problems. Okay, so we're doing a mini cut to try and get you so you can be a little bit leaner, feel a little bit better, so you can then end up this reverse.
Yes.
We're going to do it in a short period of time because we also have the Arnold coming up. So yeah, what are your goals for this mini cut and how are we going to set it up?
We have around 10 days until we head away for the Arnolds. Now, I thought about this and just in chatting with some friends the other day, I was like, why the fuck do I need to get lean for the Arnolds? Like, why? And I really think that I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because I'm a human and I'm just going to do it anyway.
You're human?
Yeah, I think it's probably not the best decision. Would you agree? Considering that I'm trying to get to a certain...
If we were just talking about physiology, yes. But unfortunately, competitors be cray. And when it comes to this kind of stuff...
Life is multifaceted, and I think you've got to consider like all the things that kind of play into
but let's be clear. If your maintenance calories did not align with your predicted maintenance calories, we would not be doing this.
No.
Okay. So that is, I actually had like a half dozen of my female clients email me this week like, why can't I do a mini cut? Holly's doing a mini cut.
I'm like, can I do one as well?
Yeah, because your metabolism is still on the crapper, not you, but them.
So if you're wondering what kind of defines when it's okay to kind of do a mini cut, go and watch last week's video. We talk about some specific caloric values which are based on lean body mass. So yeah, go and watch that and see if you qualify. So I qualify, thankfully. I'm right up in the high calories. No, I'm okay. I'm at 30. Yeah, I'm on like 2,100 calories at the moment, so just under.
So let's talk about how we're going to set this up. How much do you want to lose and how do you plan to lose it?
Okay, so I think a realistic amount of weight for me to lose in the next 10 days is about 1.5 kilos. I actually started off by like saying to myself, what would I want to get back to? And I was like, I'd probably be happy if I was 64 kilos. But that would be 2 kilos of weight loss.
That's a lot.
I'm 66. To lose. But in 10 days... Now, the rational Holly kind of took over here, and when I started doing the math, I was like, this is not going to work. So I had to kind of pull that back in a little bit.
Can't eat negative calories, bro.
Right. Yeah, like there's literally math that can predict like how much of a deficit we need to create in order to lose a certain amount of weight. So yeah, 1.5 kilos is kind of where I think I would like to get down over the next 10 days. So
we have very similar flow charts in the Complete Contest Prep Guide and Fat Loss Forever, kind of detailing how to put this together.
So guys, if you want to actually learn how to kind of apply this, go and get the Complete Contest Prep Guide. It's specified like this in here. There's a whole lot of other good stuff. So if you haven't got the book, go and get it. But I'm going to work through what I've kind of calculated for myself for the next 10 days. So let's start with some facts. I currently weigh 66 kilos, so I'm up about 6 kilos or 5.5 kilos since my prep. Goal weight's obviously to get to about 64.5 in the next 10 days. my lean muscle mass, so I'm probably sitting at about 15% body fat, so that puts me at 56 kilos lean mass, 9.9 kilos of fat mass. I've used the Mueller equation to calculate what my predicted basal metabolic rate is, which is 1433, and funny enough, I actually had my basal metabolic rate tested in previous weeks when I was doing the research study in reverse dieting down at USF here in Florida, and it was pretty much dead on, actually. That was me like sitting inside the chamber where it kind of collects your gases and then it converts it into a reading.
What kind of gases is it collecting?
Carbon dioxide, mate.
Oh.
Not those gases.
I was thinking methane.
Based on that equation, and I've applied an activity factor, I've applied a metabolic factor, it calculated me to be about 1935 as my maintenance calories. But that's just a predictive equation. They're not 100% accurate. If I look at what my actual maintenance is right now, it's a little bit higher. So this equation...
Well, but keep in mind, this isn't actual because you were gaining some weight. But
I've held steady for the last week on these calories.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to lose 1.5 kilos, which is about 1,500 grams.
That is correct.
And one of the things we talk about in the book is that you're not going to lose it all from fat.
Right.
So there's a couple things that go into this, but one, keep in mind that just because you lose some lean body mass is not the same thing as muscle.
Exactly.
A lot of people get this confused. Water registers as lean body mass. Mm-hmm. So any
hair,
fluid you lose,
skin, nails.
It's a 2-compartment model. So your even like intestinal mass and liver mass will shrink significantly during caloric restriction.
Probably not this much in the next 10 days.
Right, but the idea that you're going to lose a significant amount of muscle mass, of skeletal muscle mass, right. You might lose some fluid out of skeletal muscle, but you're probably not going to lose muscle mass unless you're really straight starving yourself.
So I think a lot of people would make the mistake of saying, oh, I'm going to lose 1.5 kilos of fat mass.
Actual fat, yeah.
No,
yeah,
and
that's not true.
Here's how it actually breaks down. So around 75% of that is probably going to be some form of fat or lipid.
Now, one of the things we go through in Fat Loss Forever is it also depends on your training status, whether or not you are eating a high-protein diet. So, for example, you have been training for, how long, 5 years?
I'm steady state, considered like experienced lifter, yes,
right.
5 years.
So you will actually lose more lean body mass than someone who is a beginner lifter, because the newbie gains or the anabolic drive will actually, people who are new or obese or both, they lose more fat mass relative to lean body mass. Someone who's
probably about like 90%, or maybe even like
there's people who actually, there's actually studies to show people have like gained lean body mass, lost fat mass on a diet. Now they're usually obese and they usually are beginners in weight training.
They've never trained before.
You are an advanced trainer. You are approaching your genetic maximum for lean body mass that you can carry. So you're going to be more inclined to lose lean body mass.
Man, I'm going to look like you at the end of the year. Get these guns.
Fortunately, I love myself, so that would just be great.
Okay.
But in the Complete Contest Prep Guide, one of the things we did was we broke down all the case studies on natural bodybuilders who would be similar kind of status to you. And what we found was that it was about 25 to 30% lean body mass is what they lose during a prep. So this is why you're using the predictor of 75%
I'm just going
fat
somewhere
mass,
in the middle.
Yeah, 75% fat mass, 25% lean body mass loss. Now, walk us through.
Yeah, so using those percentages, 75, 25, truth be told, it's probably a little bit higher on this side for me, but I'm just going to use these as kind of generic values. So for this 1,500 grams or 1.5 kilos, 75% of that is going to be fat. So that's 1,125 grams or 1.125 kilos. 25% of that's going to be lean mass. So that's going to work out to be about 375 grams or 0.375 kilograms of lean tissue, or lean mass, sorry. If we go down this direction first, of that fat mass, around 87% is going to be actual lipid or adipose tissue or fat cells. Because
you've got proteins, you got glycolipids, you've got even fluid in fat mass. Yep. Yes. So some of that like cell wall structure and whatnot, as well as just actual water. There's not much water stored in fat, but there is some. So 13% actually doesn't have calorie value.
Yeah. So when we say this, we're looking at measurable tissue, like something that actually has a caloric value. So that's why we're going to talk about, this lean protein, I guess we're talking about. Skeletal mass has a caloric value, and then fat mass, which also has a caloric value. So this other kind of doesn't.
So what you're saying is, of the 1,125 grams of fat mass or adipose that you're going to lose, 87% of that will actually have a caloric value, be lipid. So that's 978 grams.
Yeah, that's here.
978 grams of lipid.
That's correct.
Okay, cool.
We know that this has a caloric value denoted to it. So 1 gram of fat has around 9 calories, okay? So we times these here. So 978 times 9 gives us a total caloric value of 8,802. So this is basically from fat. This is what kind of deficit I've got to create from fat mass alone. Okay. Now we're going to look at the lean tissues. So of that 25% lean mass, I should say, I'm using the wrong terminology here, 70% of that is fluid, because remember that lean tissue also includes things like hair, skin, nails, bone, and water. So 70% of that lean...
We estimate.
Roughly. So there's a little bit of weight that's going to drop, which is this water. And in the first couple of days, it's probably going to be mostly water. So the initial drop that I see, there it is. Then we have around 115 grams left over that is potentially
actual protein
mass, right? So again, we know that protein's caloric value is around 4 calories per kilogram. 4 calories per gram. So that comes out to 460 calories. So what we're going to do is we're going to plus these two together. That gives me a total of 9,250 calories deficit.
Actually 62.
Well, now that we're changing
now that we corrected the math.
Thank you, Wayne.
You're welcome. Sorry.
Oh my God, OCD. Come on, it was.
But I mean, essentially, it's the same calorie deficit per day.
Yeah. So this is the total deficit, okay, that I would need in order to create a 1.5 kilogram loss. Now
that's a hefty deficit.
That's a big deficit.
That means if you're just doing it from food, you eat 900 calories a day.
I have 10 days until that I want to lose that in. That's why I'm dividing that number by 10. So every single day I need to be in a 925 calorie deficit in order to lose.
So I'll see you at the Arnold.
Right. So what is that? How do we actually apply that number to your daily intakes? Well, we know that my current maintenance calories are sitting at around 2050. So if I took 925, I'm looking at like 1,100 calories per day, every day for the next 10 days, if I wanted to lose 1.5 kilograms.
Actually, I think you're looking at
10,
25. Wait, no,
11.
No, you're right.
So here's what I'm going to do. There is no chance on this planet that I'm going to eat 1,100 calories because I would rather die. Just being real. That's what I was on in my... Not really. But
I'd rather you not.
I, like the last week of my contest prep, I was on those calories, and God help Lane, like, poor man. Like, I would just walk past and be like...
You actually weren't that bad.
No, I think I was okay. I just like get really quiet and drawn in, and I just don't say much. And then when I do, it's like...
Talk less than
talking
normal.
in grunts and sounds. So what I'm actually going to do to create that deficit is not just restrict my calories, I'm also going to increase my daily activity, because remember that energy balance is affected by a number of variables. We're looking at our thermic effect of food. We're looking at NEAT, which is our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's just like fidgeting, incidental movement, activity, so our planned exercise, and then our diet. So those 4 parameters affect our total daily energy intakes. So I'm going to add in a little bit more cardio this week. So I'll probably be doing around 90 minutes of HIIT, and then about, 150 minutes of lifts, maybe.
So how many calories per day are you trying to get from this?
500 calorie deficit from food. So I'll probably come down to around 1,400. And then maybe a 300, 400 calorie deficit from activity.
If we add back in 400, we get, this is exercise.
400 calories coming from exercise.
Then we get 1525.
That's manageable.
Cal per day. So is that what you want to shoot for then?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. So we've got the calorie target. Now you just got to break down the macros.
Okay, let's go upstairs. We'll check my weekly data. So for how I went last week, and then we'll also plug in kind of what ratios of macros I'll search for using 15-25 roughly as my daily energy intakes. Alrighty. Okay, so.
Alrighty then.
That's how this starts. Where do you want to start, Wayne?
At the beginning?
At the beginning. There was
Monday. So you don't have any data for this past week, I think you said, right? Or do you?
No, I do have some. I just didn't record from Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay. So, but you said you felt like you were back solidly into the 65s.
I did.
Do you still feel that way?
Over the weekend, yes. Yesterday, no. Well, actually today, no, because I took a couple of extra calories in the evening, so I probably should have done that. But hey, it was the last day before I started diet. No, I would have only got over by 100 calories.
I'll never understand women.
No. So, 66, I started high last week because it was kind of my period, I guess. It was still there, so my weight usually fluctuates and goes up. So you can see as it kind of ended, which was on like Wednesday, my weight starts to come back down towards 65.3, which is pretty dramatic drop. And I honestly think if I had had scales when I was away, I probably would have settled back in around 65 over the weekend. Mm-hmm. So that sees me as a weekly average at 65.9. So it is a little bit higher than last week if we compare 65.7. So a massive difference, but that's inflated because of my period that week. So I was a little bit more compliant to protein this week. Remembering last week, I just had a ripper of a week, like 15.
A ripper
of a week. I only averaged 137 grams of protein, which is really low for me. So that thermic effect of food and that displacement of macros from carbs and fats and protein really kind of had its toll on my body comp. But better this week. 154 was my average protein, which is good.
Keeping in mind, your protein is already sufficient, well above sufficient. So if you're low on protein, it's really not that big of a deal.
It's not detrimental to loss of lean body mass. But if I'm making a drastic drop in my protein and replacing it with more carbs and fats, which are far less
efficiently stored.
Yes. That would have to have some kind of a difference because that's my normal. 160 is high for me.
All right, so you did okay. So show us what we're going to do for the cut.
Okay, let's pop over here. So we're looking at, let's move that one around. So we're now looking at this week. I'll make it green because green is healthy. Isn't that like that color of health?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I just had to play around with the macros. Obviously, we're searching for, did I say 15-23 or 14-25?
Well, it depends. If you want to do more exercise, you can do you can do more calories. But I think you probably, considering how busy we're going to be, maybe you're deciding that you're going to go shoot for a little bit less calories and do a little bit less exercise.
Yeah, I think this number here is, so I'm saying 14-26. I think we actually said downstairs 1500,
something like that. But you said 300 to 400 calories from exercise. So
right. So in order to get there, I'm pulling my protein just a little bit by 10 grams. So I'll be down at 150 for the next 10 days. I'm going to drop to 112.
Well, it's only 10 days.
Oh my god. I can inhale and have that much in one meal easily. 100 grams of rolled oats.
10 days.
100 grams of rolled oats right there. with some,
100 grams of
with
rolled
some
oats.
Milk on top.
So how is it? Yeah.
And 42 fats.
Well, I think that the biggest thing, and I talked to you about this last night, is to make sure that you're not eating a lot of calories early in the day. Because you tend to, when you're transitioning, you tend to still eat, and people do this too, they tend to still eat the way they did when they were reversing, or because you get into a certain habit. So now you have to take that habit back, walk it back, and probably do a little bit more, like when you were prepping, you were doing salads for lunch. You know, so now you're probably going to have to do more low-calorie salads, and then leave your macros for, because you like to have a nice big dinner.
I do.
So
yeah, I'll be fasting until 6 p.m. Kidding. I will probably fast. That's my strategy. I don't really get hungry that much in the morning. I like to train on a somewhat empty stomach. So, yeah, by the time I get back from training, it's usually around 11:30, 12 anyway. So that won't be too much of a change, and then I can kind of displace my macros evenly for the rest of the day. So I already made a boo-boo today then. I already had some breakfast, so looks like I'll be having
habits.
I've been getting into that, a habit over the weekend, I guess. So yeah.
What was your breakfast though?
I had egg whites, lean bacon, and half a low calorie wrap. It's like a breakfast burrito.
Okay,
so it was very low calorie still.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. Well,
it's like
you've got
steak and sweet potato.
You're just gonna have to suffer the rest of the evening.
Oh, I'm so excited for this, guys. If any of you guys are out there dieting, my thoughts are with you. It's not fun. But hey, I will probably be very happy by the time we get on the plane to go up to Ohio.
We'll see.
We will see. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you can apply the math to your own situation if you're needing to. Don't do it in 10 days. Spread it out. It's much easier.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do. In this case, well, I wonder, can I do something?
What are you going to do?
I want to see what percentage of my body weight I'm actually losing. Calculator. 66 kilos. Oops. Times point. I reckon it's 0.15.
No, just take 0.15 divided by 66. Or 1.5. Sorry, 1.5.
Divided by 66 kilos.
Yeah. You're losing 2.3% of your body weight in 10 days. So
and what would you say to people? 2.3%.
That's a little much, but it's a very short term thing.
I think
so that's the big difference. It's very short term.
The duration is shorter.
And this is why coaching is also, you can have, like the book is a guideline. By the way, for those of you going to be at the Arnold, we will have a booth number 552, and we'll be selling hard copies of the Complete Contest Prep Guide and Fat Loss Forever. So this is a guide. It's a great guide, but this is why coaching is also an art form, and you have to be individualized.
Yes.
So she's going to get after it. We hope to see you guys at the Arnold booth 552. Come by, say hi, buy a hard copy book, get an autograph, get a picture, whatever you want. Talk shop, talk science, talk bullshit. We'll see you then. If not, like this shit, subscribe to this shit, buy our shit. Next time, guys.